Okay. Pink Gorilla. Hey, we are in New York City. Sony brought us out here to review the Sony a7R III. This isn't it.
That's not
but
it.
It looks a lot like it. They could only give it to us for a couple of hours, so because Photo Plus is going on, so they had to bring them out to the showroom floor. You can go see it there if you're ready. But we did get a lot of shooting done with it. We took a lot of sample pictures. At a high level, I wanted to kind of go over the points that we felt about the camera. We're going to have a full review coming out, so subscribe to see that. But for now, we can tell you what our feelings about it were and how everything worked.
I have so many feelings.
Okay, tell me your feelings, Chelsea.
First feeling, I liked it. That's a good start. Because that doesn't always happen when I first get my hands on a camera. This sounds small, but the buttons feel so much better. And I know sometimes people think that I'm really picky about that, but when push comes to shove, when you want to go pick up a camera, you want it to feel good in your hand. And the little wheel on the back that I always felt was kind of like fiddly, and I'd accidentally hit it, and it really annoyed me. It's stiffer, and it feels easier to control. They also have the joystick, or I believe Mark is calling it a four-directional.
Catchy name.
I don't know. Sorry, Mark, I forgot.
It's a thumbstick.
It's really nice. And then, of course, the battery life. I'm very excited about that. I can be a lazy shooter in that regard, you know. I'll pack up all of my stuff and hike up a mountain, but I don't want to change batteries all the time. So it's really nice that the battery has enough life to get you through your entire day of shooting.
Yeah, we shot like thousands of shots over a couple of hours, and I think I was at like 65% of battery life. It can last a really long time. It's the same A9 battery, which has been kicking butt in our A9, like just shooting for days and days and days. A lot of people I know are going to be asking about the image quality of it, and we're not going to see a huge difference in image quality. It's going to be basically the same image quality as the a7R II, and then we found that to be basically the same image quality as the D850. So if you're just all about the image quality, I don't think you're going to feel the need to upgrade. This is a practical upgrade. Chelsea is sneezing. Now you get to witness her multiple sneezes. Okay. Always multiple sneezes. Other functional upgrades. It's mostly the functional upgrades. Big battery, better controls, 2 memory cards. I know all Sony shooters up until this point have said they don't need multiple memory cards. First don't fail.
If you have a memory card fail one time, you'll feel frightened if you're shooting something that you cannot go back to, like a wedding or wildlife, or most things, really. Every moment's special. Hey, they have a rate button. It's not an assigned rate button. It doesn't say rate under it, but you can assign it. I assigned it to my C3 button.
Yeah, so you could just hit that C3 button 4 times. It'll give your picture 4 stars when you import it into Capture One or Lightroom. Bam, it'll pop up. That way, when you're in the field, you can select your pictures and then get back to your computer, find it right away. They upgraded the focusing. What did you think of that?
I thought the focusing was great, and I was using the iDetect autofocusing. And Miguel, our friend, he showed me how to assign the button to your lens. And that was awesome. I was having a great time with that. So that way, I don't always like to be controlling everything on the back of the camera. So that's nice because you can just press this button here on your lens, and it was tracking unbelievably. So the model would turn around, and then as soon as their face was back in, it would either lock on their face, and then as soon as it could lock onto their eye, it would do that. I got a chance to review those pictures, and most of them were in focus. Yeah, so it worked really well. Ratio. And my thing is, here's the thing. For me, when they come out with new technology, it has to work all of the time. And I'm picky and I'm sensitive to that. I don't want to be in the middle of a shoot and think, oh, I hope this works because this is, a one-time thing. I want to know I can nail every shot. If I can do it myself manually better than any automated feature, then I don't want anything to do with it. So it works. It's something that I would actually use. It doesn't just sound good on paper. That's something I'm excited about.
And with the a7R II and the iDetect autofocus, what I found is if somebody turned their head away and it lost track of the eye, sometimes it would just start hunting. It would just lose track. But this defaulted to really intelligent autofocus. It would keep focusing on their head kind of as close as it could. And then as soon as the eye came back, it would lock back on. So we really didn't miss any shots. Now, I'll say as I flipped through the shots, I definitely found some shots where if the focus wasn't exactly where I wanted it. That's true of every camera ever, and it helps that it has 10 frames a second, because if you miss one frame, there's another frame 1/10 of a second later that probably is in focus. And I'll also say big advantage over Nikon and Canon, it's a mirrorless camera, so there's no needing to micro adjust your lenses or anything like that, that there's no phase detect off sensor, phase detect sensor that can become screwed up. So it's always going to nail focus like that. Anyway, I thought the focusing was fantastic. S-Log in the video, everything seemed to handle really well. We have some pictures we can take a look at, and you can ask us questions in the comments down below, and Justin's going to feed them to us. I keep looking at my phone here because I have notes from Justin and notes on for myself. Do you want to take a look at some pictures real quick, Chelsea?
Yeah. Okay.
I also want to add that I feel like the sensor stabilization is a huge upgrade that not everybody really appreciates. The importance of that, especially when you're dealing with a high megapixel camera. When you're dealing with 42 megapixels, it's really easy for technique to screw you up. So I'm zooming in, which should be 1:1 to those of you looking at it on 1080p. And, you know, these are JPEG files. We have the RAW files, but they're going to take a while to process. And I think the sharpness that we got out of this is really good. Now, notice that this is shooting with the 24-105 f4 lens. That's a new lens from Sony. So they wanted to promote that as well, and it seems like a good lens. But at the same time, it's not a G Master lens; it's a lower end lens. This handsome guy.
Handsome fella. Oh.
So here, if we zoom into the eye,
it's on the other eye.
Oh yeah, it looks like it did focus on the far eye there. Do you know? I think you shot this. Were you shooting with the eye detect, or were you just using a manual focus point?
I'm sorry, I can't remember right now. I'd have to go through all of the pictures and see.
But you do sort of get the sense here. We brought a 70-200 G Master to really show off the detail, but if you do look at that eye, the detail on it is pretty incredible.
Look, he's so casual. Oh, cool, May.
Let's see if it got the correct eye this time. We took thousands of pictures, and I just kind of narrowed them down some. Oh, come on, Lightroom.
It's the far eye again. Is it?
I don't know. It might actually be focused back just a little bit. It's pretty close, but maybe it messed it a little bit. So they had a lot of models dancing around. So this is kind of an action shot.
They were intense.
Yeah, and they were fantastic dancers. By the way, the color, the exposure, all seems perfect. Like all the skin tones just seem great.
Yeah.
I'm at 1/200th here, so it's a little bit slow for the amount of action that they have going on. But I still felt like it did a good job of capturing it, and the focusing was really good. Sped up the shutter speed to 1/800th to make sure we got stuff sharp. So let's zoom in tight. What do you think, Chelsea? Are you happy with these pictures?
Yeah. Though these pictures were also taken with a lot of action when I was first getting used to using the eye detect autofocus.
Yeah.
So I was happy with it, but these were really experimental.
This is at ISO 1600, so pretty low light, especially for having to shoot at 1/800th of a second. So that's going to contribute some to the softness. But nonetheless, it seems like it nailed autofocus here. These people were moving around really, really quickly. Here we had a dancer, and we're at ISO 800.
We're getting a lot of questions here, Tony.
Okay, we'll take some questions in just a second, or maybe you can pop out and answer some questions.
Well, Michael Chi is asking how long it takes to clear the buffer, and we didn't actually get a chance to time that, did we? Did you time it?
No, I didn't time it, but I will say that I was regularly frustrated with the buffer. That was a problem with the A9, and that's a problem here too, especially with that high 10 frames per second frame rate. It was really easy to fill up the buffer, and then when you do fill up the buffer, it takes a long time to clear, and you can't switch to recording video.
Were you being conscientious of not filling up the buffer, or were you just holding it down and seeing how long it took?
I was just holding it down.
Because, okay, so that's an important distinction to make. So often when we're testing a camera, we're shooting in a different way than if we were actually shooting. And when I'm shooting wildlife, I'm usually conscientious of the buffer, and you get this natural rhythm going with your camera where to kind of hold off a little bit so you don't fill your buffer. So at first I was holding it down just to see how long it would take to fill, but then once I was in a rhythm, I wasn't really having a problem with it. Were you? Hola?
Sorry, Justin just told me that the stream is 360p, which I think is terrible. Do you think we should just ditch it and start over?
Whatever.
Okay, guys, we'll be right back. Sorry about that.